Hi, this is Aaliyah with Dance with Aaliyah, and I'm here with Princess Farhana in Southern California. And Princess Farhana is a international belly dance star. She's a writer and she's an actress, and she has also coordinated with a new DVD, and that DVD is called
Bombshell, dramatic makeup for the stage, photos, and glamorous occasions.
Yeah, so she's an expert in costumery and also makeup. She's also designed her own clothing line or costume line for belly dance, and that's called Princess Farhana for King of the Nile.
Made in Cairo.
What drew you originally to belly dance, and what drew you to Egyptian style belly dance?
Well, the thing that really drew me in at first was actually when I was really, really young. I was like 4 or 5, and I remember seeing all these, what I now would consider cheesy, like Alibaba and Sinbad movies. And I swear all I ever wanted to do was be a belly dancer. I mean, I used to just dance around the house, you know, to the Arabian suite of the Nutcracker and stuff. I used to pray to Merciful Allah at the dinner table, and my Jewish mother and Christian father would just roll their eyes like, what is this child's problem? And I always wanted to dance, and I had very flat feet, so by the time I wore my mom down for dance lessons, the tiny little studio in our town that took kids, a one-room studio, looked at me and said, oh, her feet are flat, we can't take her. I mean, as though it was like, you know, the Kirov ballet or something. I mean, now you could probably sue over that, but I just cried myself to sleep that night, and I thought I was never going to dance until I was about 30, and I was on the dance floor at a rock and roll club, and I went into the bathroom to sort of, you know, make sure my makeup was okay because I'd been dancing nonstop, and this girl came in and she said, are you a belly dancer? And I said, no. Well, why? And she said, because you move like one. And then all of a sudden, it sort of clicked into me, and I said, well, are you a belly dancer? And she said, yes. And I was like, oh, I want to see you, I want to see you, I want to see you. So finally, I got to see her dance. And then because we liked the same bands, we'd be at after parties together, you know, after some band had played a concert somewhere. And we'd be locked in a bedroom at like 3 in the morning, you know, holding a margarita or something. And she'd be like, this is a figure 8. And be showing me things. And there'd be people like banging on the doors, because this was like, you know, 1990, screaming, give me some, let us in, because I think they thought we were doing drugs in there. And then the door wasn't locked, and they'd come in and they'd be like, what are you guys doing? So that was how it kind of started.
And so some of your early beginnings was actually with rock and roll music.
Oh yes, yeah. Some of my earlier adult things before dancing, it was all rock and roll and pop culture, and I wrote about that, and I was in a band. And actually, after I started belly dancing, I realized that my absolute favorite rock and roll songs were the ones that sounded Arabic. I mean, once I got familiar with Arabic music, like, you know, the Rolling Stones and their Moroccan period, like Paint It Black was one of my favorite songs, and all the ones with the Jajuka music, which I didn't know that's what it was at the time, and like the Velvet Underground's Venus and Furs, anything that was like minor keyed or had drones in it, I was like really drawn to. Yeah. I thought that was a really funny coincidence. Zara Zuhair is my first like real dance teacher, and we're doing this interview at her studio. She's always amazing. She's always inspirational. She was really, really, really generous and answered every sort of question. The person that introduced me to her, Zain Abdel Al Malik, the dancer that I was telling you had the 40s movies. He completely took me under his wing. We just had an affinity for each other. And, you know, he'd make me music mixtapes, cassette tapes, and, you know, copy VHS tapes of like the stuff. And, you know, he would always give me new music when he heard it, or he'd say, oh, you should do this, you should explore like Roxas Haya, or you should get that costume because you look like Fifi Abdu in it. Or, you know, he was just always, and he was the one that got me my first job, actually, which was at Moon of Tunis restaurant, where I still work when I'm in town. And so that was like my work-study program. But he bugged me for months. He'd go, so when are you going to go and audition at Moon? When are you going to go and audition at Moon? And I'd be like, I can't, I'm horrible. And finally one day he's like, oh, get over it. Because I already told them about you and I wouldn't risk my job. And so I went and I got the job being like, the little baby last rung dancer that, when they would go down the line of calling people if someone couldn't make it, I was the last person. But somehow even that worked out.
What advice do you have to give to new belly dancers?
Well, first of all, I have to say that you guys are so lucky nowadays, because when I was first learning how to do it, seriously, it was like a treasure hunt. Mm-hmm. All the anything that you really wanted to know about belly dancing was not in the library. There was no internet. There was no email. There was no cell phones. Like when I went to Egypt, I told my family, hi, I'm going to Egypt. I'll see you in like 8 or 10 weeks. And even at like the big hotels, you'd have to like ask for a line that went out of the country and wait like 3 or 4 hours until they called you when one was ready. Right. So you guys have so much information at your fingertips. The only advice other than that, and that wasn't even advice, that was just me being an old bitter lady. No. Watch as many dances as you can, which you can now on YouTube, and then you might not have to be as obsessive about practicing as I was, but your home practice will help you a lot. And learn the history, because even if you want to do crazy, wild fusion or something, learn where this dance came from, even if you're never going to do a traditional style of belly dance, because I seriously think now, even though I love doing fusion and I do it all the time, I think you need to know the rules before you break them. And I also think that some things like playing finger cymbals are starting to become obsolete. Mm-hmm. And just the older styles of dancing, like certain, types of folklore, or just like you have all this information. So you should, if you're really interested in belly dancing, you should study it, because you can pull out of that for other things, and along the way you'll also help in preserving the dance in its original form.
Excellent. So thank you so much for taking your time to be with me and share your knowledge and expertise and your experience in dance with everyone else.
You're welcome.
Thank you.